Okay, so I'm going to look for potential repeat customers based on a sales performance data that we have. So in this database, we have customer information, we have sales, revenue information, but some of the reasons on the win and loss have been masked. There's also information about the customer themselves. That's this data set contains sensitive information, and not everything is available, but there is information that we still want to use. And so we're going to bring that out, and the mission is going to be to look outside of this database. We'll get revenue information, that kind of stuff, about the customer, geos and sectors from this, but we do want to enrich our analysis by trying to find out if this customer is doing well financially, how is the health of the company. So we'll go look at other data sets, we'll go in the catalog, find some data sets. And we also want to see the sentiment of this company. What's the news talking about? What are the people talking about? We want to marry all of that, and we're going to use the Refinery tool to do that. Okay, so here I have, I'm in the Watson AI platform here, and I have opened my protected catalog. So I have sales performance information here, and this data set contains the sensitive information, and it basically masked based upon the policy that I'd set up. But it still has the information about revenues and customer code and some good stuff that I want to use. So I'm going to take it and bring it to a project. A project is a place where you are going to, it's your sandbox. You're going to move things over there. You're going to clean them, and if it's your playground, so to say. And when you're happy with it, you can bring it back into the catalog for collaboration. Okay, so I missed that. I'm going to go to my project, and here I have my data. Now I've moved it from the catalog to the project, but let's confirm that the sensitivity is not broken here. We still have 9 columns anonymized here, which is great. So the Refinery tool is exposed in the project because that's where you really, change your data, improve the quality of your data. And when you click that, we are downloading a sample of your data. We are preparing it. We are generating profiles and all kinds of things to give you a very good high-level summary of this data set. Now, once this data comes up, you will see that it has sales information. And I'm going to start with some quick operations here to get this one converted into an integer. I want to derive a new variable, which is going to be a total sales. Now, Q2 was not as, the data here is not as clean as the first one. I need to extract the numbers from here. I'm going to show an example of a powerful but quick QI operation where you can, if you had just text, you can specify $1 here. But I want more than one thing to be done in a quick way. So I can give regular expressions, and just ability to do this as regular expressions is very useful as you clean, text or just data. Okay, so this is going to clean that up, and I will convert this to an integer. Next, I'll use another quick operation to calculate a new column. So Q2 sales, Q1 sales, and at any time you can calculate new columns. You'll be deriving new features as you're cleaning your data. Now you notice that as I'm doing this, the recipe is getting recorded, and that's really important because in the end we want to take this and bake it and run the flow on the full data set. Okay, so I have a lot of columns here. Let me look at profile. So profile gives you frequency distributions of all of your data. It's a very good way for you to tell what's in your data. I already see, hovering over this, that I have too many columns. So now I'm going to introduce the coding operation. There are several coding operations, and each of them, when you hover, will give you some help about what each of these are. And when you click on one of them, it tells you that go click one more time because you're going to see some templates. And these templates are very useful. You can basically just click your way around as you're learning. But then once you have learned the format, you can always kind of take it for a spin on your own. So I want to do customer code and total sales. So I want to bring two more columns. I am interested in keeping the lineage to the customer and, of course, their revenue. Okay, so that's great. Let me go to now visualization and compare two different columns. So here I'm just giving the columns. I don't have to specify what type of, x-axis, y-axis type of chart, any of that. I have marketing and sales doing a pretty good job. These are the two teams probably I want to take my research back to once I find out which could be the repeat customers. So that's great. There's technical support who's helped in a lot as well. Now, remember, this is like a discovery area, right? You're looking at data, you're looking at what more can I do, what features can I generate, what more columns can I derive. And so I'm going to look at market. So if you see, this has geo and sector information, but it's kind of mixed up. There's sometimes separated with a dash, sometimes with a space. Cleaning this kind of data can be pretty tedious. But here's another example of a quick but powerful operation. This one allows you to split into more than one columns. It could be as many columns as you want, and you can go by position or regular expression again as a separator, text, or you can just say default, where it's going to find the alphanumeric separators. Now, how do you tell it to create only the first two? So this is where when you give the number of columns, you can basically, of course, say, I don't want to, cleaning data, I don't want to keep the old stuff, I'm making new stuff. But you can say, okay, if there's extra, do you want to drop it, or do you want to put it in the left, and that kind of stuff. It's pretty flexible. Okay, so once I do that, I'm going to get these two new columns. And we can already say, and you can see that I can just sit in this profile view and work my way. It's very visual experience for cleaning. So I can already see that the US, there's a lot of influence in the US. Let me go see how the sectors, so if we did anything specifically better in a particular sector. So again, it's going to tell me that healthcare was pretty good, information technology was pretty good. Okay, so that's good information. We're going to keep that in the data. We're going to keep the total sales. And so we've built this recipe so far. Now, I do want, to enrich this data a little bit more. And I want to join it with some financial health information. So let me go look for another catalog that I have. So in this catalog, it's not protected, just a data catalog. A lot of my collaborators work with me here. And so this is some financial data. And as you can see, it's got the company name and symbol. So I'm going to use that to marry and bring in company name. And it has some earnings and a lot of technical information. Now, I'm not a very good I'm not an expert in this finance area. But let me go see if there is another data set that's available. So there is another cleaned data set, and this is the power of collaboration. That in my project, I already found a coworker who works on this clean financial data, and I pushed it into the catalog for everyone to collaborate on. And so here, what she's done is created, with all of the financial data, she's created this column called is the stock undervalued. And what that means is the the book value is good, but the stock price is low, which means that there's a potential for the stock to grow. And this is just one example of what statistic you could marry. Okay, so that's great. I'm going to bring this to the project like we did before. Select my project. We did this earlier, so I've already done this for this demo. So what I'm going to do now is start with a join operation. And I'm going to join it with that clean data set. So here's a lot of joins available to you, the standard, inner, outer. There's also some filtering joins. It can be very useful. Anti-join is if you want to keep all the data in your data set that does not match the other one or does match the other one. So there's some handy things here. So this one, I have the clean data set, right? And I can, of course, quickly preview it there as well. Okay, so let me pick up my keys. Here I'm going to marry it with the customer code. Remember, I'm trying to get the customer name associated with this. And then I get to select what all do I want to keep in this data set. So I want to keep sector and a leading team and total sales and company name. I'll get rid of the code and I'll just keep this guy, which gives me it's an indication for health of the company. Well, so now if I say, well, let me just look at all the companies that have, an undervalued stock. So I will say is equal to yes. So a quick filter is going to enrich that data a little bit more. Okay, so we had looked visually at at comparing different columns. We looked at leading sales and total sales, and that was a good on the sample. But I do want to take that insight and burn it into the flow. So I'm going to do some aggregations here. Count allows me to build, a group by. So I'm going to group by. I'll keep sector. I will keep company name. And I want to do a sum of total sales. So this is going to do the group by on all of the things that we looked at. And I guess I can clean this up a little bit more, call it sum of sales. And I can sort this either ascending or descending. Let me see which customers we didn't do so well. Maybe if they are financially healthy and, we might focus on those. So let me just do this sort now. And at this point, I can save the flow and run it. Okay, so here it's telling me the name of the flow. It tells me the result. And this result can again go back into those various types of data connectors that we have. Right now I'm just putting it, and you can sit and view the flow. It's going to run asynchronously for a while on the full data set and so forth. All right, so while we're letting that happen, I do want to go explore some more to see I have company name, I've got financial health information, but what about the sentiment? What is the news talking about these companies? What are, is there something I can do? This is a Watson-enabled catalog, and it does natural language processing. So I have some news data. And if I look at it, it's a big report. It contains stuff. And so let's just say that I don't have time to read through all of that and summarize it for myself, but I can look at the profile. It's telling me that it's, the categories are news and television and social networks. So these are basically a pretty broad spectrum. It's looking at various concepts. It's got some emotion and sentiment. Well, so it's doing all of that in the context of some entities it's found. And so that's the area I want to bring into my project and see what I can do with it. Okay, so I'm going to go, again, the same thing. I've already brought this into my project. Okay, I've already done the add to project. So let's go back to my think project. And this is the news data, the same one. Again, this idea that whether you move data from the catalog to the project, wherever you're doing your profiles and everything is basically the same. You're just, putting it in the sandbox to work more on it. And then you can click refine. Okay. And I'm going to open it up here. These are some of the new and coming features. So I want to show you what the experience is. When you do that, it's going to say, oh, this is not, I'm not ready to open the whole PDF yet, but if you want, I can open that metadata. And so that metadata is not fully structured. It's got hierarchies in it. It's, hierarchical JSON. So if you really hover over it, it's like almost like a blob of text. But I'm going to have it unnest the entities. And very quickly now, I can tell what all the entities are about. So best way to see it is visualize it. And so various different types of maybe a pie. Actually, this is the names. I want to do the type. So I want to see what types of entities there are. Okay, so lots of company names, organizations. I'm interested in both of those. But you see that it's collected a lot of other entities. So this data set can be useful for many other use cases that might be of interest to many other people. So it's a great data set to have in your catalog. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can also try to see if there's any relation from type to sentiment. Okay, so that's good. The companies are, lots of positive and lots of neutral and that kind of stuff. Okay, so next I want to keep the filter. I'm really only interested in doing companies and organizations for now. Okay, so that's great. Now I want to marry this with my structured data, the result of the the summary of the sales. And so remember that we had kicked it off already. We can go see if it's finished. It's finished. So I'm going to look at this shaped result and bring it in here. So again, it's already sitting in my project. Okay, and here I want to do a join of the company name, right? That's the, so we're going to take the company health, the company financial information, and marry it with the sentiment and just enrich our data that way. Okay, so now I'm going to keep the text. I want to keep the sentiment score and label. And I do want to keep the leading team and sector and sales because I do want to take this back to the relevant teams and give them some guidance based on my analysis on who they should, focus on. So these are the companies. They have all positive, some have negative sentiment. Remember, they're already high value customers from high potential financial customers. So we already have that. And so from here, we can just save and run the flow. And, that's a regular thing. But at this point, we've taken the structured financial data. We've taken the structured sales data. We've married it with unstructured data and really enriched this to be a useful set for downstream analysis. Okay, so just I want to point to some blogs. You can go to IBM Cloud blogs and look at some of this detail. Thank you for listening.